Hey everyone, OutcastWriter here, coming to you with my Day 4 impressions of Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. We are introduced with Alm's epic speech to retake Ala Zofia for the people, or something. I don't know, but it was a good speech. I guess, this is one of the things that people talked about with cliches. You guys probably noticed the seat I have right here, and now I'm going to have to resist the urge of wanting to do this all the time because it's fun to swim around. But anyways, back to the game. Yeah, I can see where some people felt that it was a bit cliche, but I liked the speech. It worked well enough for me, so that was all really good. It allowed me to connect with Alm, which so far hasn't really happened yet. Haven't really fully connected with Alm. So this speech kind of delved into his character a little bit more, which was sorely needed, especially since he's one of the two lead protagonists. The conversation, let me see, sorry about that. Looking at notes here. The conversation between Gray and Tobin have been interesting. This particular one was about how Alm has been changing, and they've been noticing it. And they kind of didn't like how Alm was changing, and just how lots of their things in life was changing. It really helped flesh out the characters for me, because that was a complaint in one of my earlier videos, is none of the characters have really stood out and just grabbed me yet. Except for, why can I not think of her name? That is terrible, the Pegasus Knight. I can't think of her name. Clyde's sister. I know everyone's name but hers. But yeah, so far no one has really stepped out. Just kind of surprised me. But now we're starting to see that slow build. We're slowly building characters. And so it's not just about the instant hooks. They're slowly building, which is good. It's good to see that they're moving towards on that. I think it's pretty much all but confirmed that Alm and Celica are siblings. And I believe right now Alm is a Prince of Zofia. It might not be exactly correct, but that's the way that I'm kind of feeling. Of course, having the inside knowledge of that certain things are predictable is probably helping, but it just feels like that road is being clearly painted, that they are siblings so far. Let me see. So, one thing really interesting, Celica has this dream of Alm and Emperor Rudolph fighting. So, one can't help, and I don't know if it's a dream or a premonition, but one can't help but think, does this perhaps explain the beginning of the game? Is this something that maybe Celica was witnessing, having a dream or premonition of, at the beginning of the game, rather than just, hey, this was where the game is, and now you're going to go back into, the past. Which, one thing that has me slightly concerned about that is that that's how Awakening opened, was with a premonition. So I'm kind of hoping that that's not going to be exactly the same. But it wouldn't be surprising if it isn't. And then I guess I shouldn't be so surprised if things don't play out exactly as you think they do, kind of like in Awakening, where you have that premonition and it actually causes you to change the future. So we'll just see how that all pans out. One thing, mainly through the conversations of the villagers, although this is also touched upon with the conversations of the other characters, is you can really tell that the land of Zofia is suffering. One thing that I really like about this setup with Fire Emblem Echoes is, as opposed to Birthright or with Conquest or with Awakening, is that you have a real connection to the common people, not just the people who's in your party, who you're fighting with shoulder to shoulder and, just ordering all around over the screen. The common people finally have a role, and that really, really fleshes out the games in a superbly nice way. I'm really liking that, and it really just drives home that, yeah, things aren't really good. No, there's still some tonal inconsistencies in that. There's certain things where, like, there's buckets full of fish and stuff like that, and people are like, we don't have food. And, like, there's all these supplies around in these 3D environments that you can, move your cursor around to kind of explore. But yet people are suffering. So, like I said, there's a bit of inconsistency there. But the good fleshing out of the world through the villagers has done more than enough to convince me that things there are not doing too good. Um, One thing that I found really interesting is that the terrors, the zombie people, um, these undead creatures, didn't pop up until the divine accord was breached. So this is a recent phenomena, which is kind of interesting because you don't really get from any of the characters that this is a new thing or an old thing. Um, and again, they don't really specify so much when they haven't given like an exact year count when Rigel invaded Zofia. So, but there's not really any. It's like, oh, okay, we know at this, 5 years ago on this date, this is when it started happening. But I still thought that was interesting. So I wonder how that's going to play into everything. Nice thing, and I know some people have commented about this, is magic is not as overpowered as it has been in Awakening or in Fates. Yeah, it actually hurt, and you takes hit points to cast magic, which I actually kind of like. And like it's like taking energy for you to cast this thing. Of course, the one counter argument to that was that, well, it would still cost energy to swing a sword or shoot a bow. But I do like that. That's a way to kind of limit how much you can just go around blasting people, especially since magic still has a high hit rate, although it seems quizzically unlikely how many times it still misses. But it still has a high hit rate compared to other things. So magic still has its advantages, but now it actually has some disadvantages. So that was really interesting to see. So glad that they did that little change there. I wonder if they're going to keep doing that. Let me see. Oh yes. The villagers. Now, I really like the voice acting. They've done a good job with the voice acting, even with the minor characters. However, all the villagers look the same. They're basically the same 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 templates for people. I still understand the limitations of Fire Emblem and the limitations of the system, the limitations that the developers were under, but a little variety for the villagers would have been really nice. Would have done more to just kind of help sell the world. But alas, that is not the case. So we just have to deal with that. Bowie and May, again, we're getting more character building here. Their interactions are pretty funny. I like how they're developing their characters. Can't wait to see where that goes forward. I'm glad to see that Fire Emblem still has a good sense of humor, and it seems like the humor has been improved, beyond just some of the stuff that happened in Awakening. I don't know so much about Fates, but there were a few certain scenes where it's like, oh yeah, this is humorous, but it's actually about people bathing, and he's bathing, she's bathing, just getting a little beyond that. That's really good, bringing a little bit more seriousness to the series. That's excellent. Not that I would classify Fire Emblem as a humorous series, but just within the humor, being a little more serious with that. They still are fun, and they still are cheesy in their own enjoyable way. But yeah, I like how they're handling the humor. And then, oh yes, okay. I hate to end it on a sour note a bit, but these pirate battles, with Celica, they got really too easy because you had choke points basically, and with the planks or whatever you want to call them, with the 2 ships, you just put people there and you just slowly whittle them away, and it's not really challenging. And there's about 3 of these levels, and it starts to get a little boring. And yeah, there's not a lot of variety in map design. So I'm starting to see the complaints where some people are like, yeah, some of the map design was not great. And you know what have really helped spruce up a little bit? Give us some bosses beyond just another brigand pirate guy. That would have helped some. But alas, it doesn't have any of those things. So yeah, that kind of bites. But anyways, those are my impressions of my 4th day of playing Fire Emblem Echoes. I hope to be a little more consistent with these, because it is already well over a month that this game has been out, and I should be getting one soon to you guys. Thank you for your patience very much. Thank you for watching. This is the OutcastWriter signing off, and remember, what we create matters.